Alright, you are recording now. Alright. Woo. Sorry, I'm kind of a little bit stressed right now. 431 effects is a lot to be doing. Oh, God. Alright, get yourself ready. Get yourself situated. Peace of mind. Grab a drink. Swig of my fun juice right here. Alright. Alright, so if you don't know how a tier list works, this is how I do my tiers personally. C tier, middle of the road. Not good, not bad. It's acceptable. I'm okay with it being in my inventory, but I wouldn't like actively go seeking out for it. It's your average effect. I don't have anything terrible to say, don't have anything good to say. There is an argument for you having this effect. Won't judge you at all. B tier's good. B tier's pretty solid. This is where we're starting to enjoy the effect set we've got. A tier, so good. These are some of the best effects we have in game. These are effects that you try to look at and take inspiration from if you're making effects yourself. This is peak. Well, almost peak, because we have one tier higher, which is S tier. This is a very, very exclusive tier, only for really the best. Like, effects that I actively try to seek out and unbox when they're available. Yeah. Oh, and then D and F. So D, bad. I don't know why Valve would add this. I would much rather that this be removed from the game, or at the very least be updated or overhauled by the creator. But the problem with that is Valve doesn't really like updates that actually change the appearance of unusual effects. Yes, they will add bug fixes and updates to remove like issues such as visibility, spawn rates, stuff like that. But other than that, they don't really update the appearance because they're like, oh, well, people might like how it looks now. That's the rule for like effects, war paints especially. It's why we don't have albedo tints and stuff when we're supposed to on certain weapons. Like if they're missing, Valve will not re-add it. And yeah, so D tier is pretty much bad. I don't know why these are here. I guess you can have an argument as to why you use this pretty frequently, but I wouldn't. And then F is effects that I pretty much will not hear your argument about why this is good. No, straight up, these are the worst of the bunch. Effects that maybe not actively ruin the game. Some of them might, but like either just don't look good or affect gameplay in a way that's bad or something like that. Alright, so how we're gonna do this will be by basically chronological somewhat. It's gonna go pretty much go chronological, although it may go out of place at times. Let's just begin. Why not? And what better way to begin than with the classic Gen 1. Gen 1 is the first series of effects that we got in game. These are the first effects, unusual effects that we've ever seen from Tier 2. This is old. I don't know what year. Let me actually check what year these came out in. Okay, 2010. I was thinking 2009 for some reason. I'm gonna be very controversial here. This is probably not an opinion not shared all that much by the community. But then again, this tier list is my own opinion. If anyone wants to make their own tier list, feel free, please. If you want me to give you the files for all these unusuals, reach out to me. I will gladly provide them for you. The last tier list that was made was by like Spiky Mikey, I think, and Pyro Joe many years ago, like Jungle Inferno, I think. Probably before that, maybe. Like, it's old. They're very outdated, especially since the majority of effects we have now in game have been from the past 5 years. So these are old. So if you want to make your own tier list, please do. I am not stopping you. I would love to see your guys' opinions, but this is my opinion. And personally, and I think a lot of other workshoppers can agree with me, is that most of the early gen effects are bad. They're just bad. They are poorly made. They just don't really look that good. Like, if you posted something like, I don't know, let's say the TF logo, circling TF logo. Nowadays, it will be downvoted to hell and back. Absolutely. I'm gonna put C tier because there is an argument for using this, but like, if this were posted to the workshop nowadays, I guarantee it would at most get a 55-60%, which is not that great for unusual effect. For unusual effects to be considered good and acceptable for a game, it usually has to be at like 70 or above. Circling TF logo and also group circling the circling hearts. They're not it. They are these massive, pretty crusty PNGs. I don't want to say PNGs, but they're pretty low quality sprites that are massive. They orbit around right in front of the head, and they're huge with just a simple like glow. The trail, I'm not gonna knock down the glow effect itself, like the trailing, because it's just a simple glow trail, which is fine for back then. Some of the feature effects that we're gonna look at, I will shit on, but these are alright. I can see why you would use these because they are genuine effects. In my opinion, the only reason people really enjoy most of these effects is because they are genuine. They are old. They have a charm to them for being the first. Back then, these were the only unusual effects you had. They were a new and unique idea. Even like years later, till like, I don't know, like 2015, 2016. I need to look at the timeline again. Those old effects, people love them to death because they're old. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack a bit. I just saw this one. Here I am shitting on Gen 1 effects, but I'm immediately going to put these in S tier. Burning and Scorching Flames are the epitome of unusual. When you think of an unusual effect, what's your first thought? Maybe Sunbeams, I suppose. Maybe Purple Energy or something. But typically, what you're going to be thinking about will be Burning Flames. And in turn, Scorching Flames to a lesser degree. Scorching Flames would probably be lower in S tier, but I'm not going to order these within their ranks. If I put something in C tier, like 3 or 4 things in C tier, doesn't mean the thing that's in front of it will be better. And that's too much work with 431 effects. But back to what I said, these are iconic. Having your hat on fire, literally just on fire as a concept, is a cool idea. It makes sense. Later effects like having your hat glow in a weird energy, or having clouds around it or something like that, or just presence coming out of your head. It's weird. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but for a hat to just be on fire, conceptually, that makes a lot of sense. It's pretty cartoonish to have that on your head, but still grounded in reality. And it just looks sick. My only complaint with the effect is how it kind of trails behind. Like, if you're moving, especially at a fast velocity, it will trail behind you in very weird and awkward ways where it doesn't really look good, but I'm not going to dock it too much for that. Most effects look weird if you're moving fast, such as rocket jumping or baby face or something like that. So I'm going to put these at S and keep it there. And then Sunbeams, I'm tempted to put it as S is very restrictive. These are lucky to be an S, like right off the bat. Sunbeams, I'm gonna put at A. I know people love Sunbeams to death. I still love it. A means does not mean it's a bad effect. It means it's really, really solid. Could be made better, like just some weird glow trails, and then having a very small glow at the head is kind of not flashy enough for me to be an S. That being said, it's still an amazing effect. I feel like it could be made better, if that makes sense. Let's see. What is this? Oh my god, this is Mass Flies. I don't even think I need to explain this one. I think I'll put it. I think I'll put it F, because just the fact that I couldn't even see what the effect was shows how much it failed. This Mass Flies is an incredibly difficult effect to see in game. In this image, you can barely even see it. I would have to show you a video of Mass Flies for you to be able to see it. It breaks one of the fundamental rules of having sprites as an unusual effect, you need to have a background of some sort behind the head, behind your sprites, so that they stand out within the chaos and battlefield of TF2. Just having tiny sprites going around the head, it's cool. I do like how they made the movement very random, as if flies are going around your head in a random fashion. That's cool. I use that tech myself for a few effects. Like, I have a monarch butterfly effect coming out in the future that I think uses the tech in here, but it's gotta be F. I don't even know how it could even be done better, because just having flies around your head is already such... There's not a good concept for effect. Like, if you unbox an unusual effect and you see mass flies as your effect, disappointment. It works on a couple effects if they're themed, such as that sandwich hat for heavy. That's kind of funny, having flies around that. Or also again, the sandwich hat on heavy that goes up, having mass flies on that is funny, but even then it's not worth a lot. In terms of aesthetic. These effects aren't going to be ranked based on price itself. If I were to do that, I mean, so far these are accurate, but like later down the line, I may put like a really expensive effect at D or F, or vice versa. Next effect, let's do the energies. Green and... Is this purple or pink energy? I forget what it's called every time. Purple energy. I forget because it looks pink to me. I think it's pink, but it's purple. Let's put them at A. These are both very solid effects. These were some of the first effects I saw that when I was trading back in the day being like a few years ago. These are effects that I love to death. They're a bit big, but the color variation that you have within the effect, how it goes from like green to blue, or purple to yellow, that's wonderful. That's one of the core aspects of making an unusual effect, is you have to have color variation. If you have only one color going throughout the effects, such as circling heart and circling TF logo, if you only have really one effect, which is one effect color going on, such as pink or yellow, just one color being monochrome, is not good. You have to have some kind of variation, typically using the color fade aspect system. Operator? Yes, it's an operator. Sorry. I make effects. I know what I'm doing. This is very well made. The only issue I have with it is it's a bit big, but the problem is if you made it smaller, then on certain hats, it really wouldn't be noticeable. So it's just like wide brim hats or tall hats. So this is great. I love this very much. And if you get one of these as a misc and you combo it, such as having a misc green energy and then a hat purple energy, it becomes this beautiful, like heavenly white color. Because for some reason with TF2, when you mix green and purple, it becomes white. I'm not quite sure why. I haven't figured that out, but it looks stunning. But it's very expensive, so. Next, let's do the confettis. Green and purple. I don't know where to put these. I'll put them at C tier. They're alright. The fact that they're full body unusuals is very interesting, because we don't have any other full body unusuals in the game. Well, we do have a couple, but they are extremely rare, because having a hat effect that covers your entire body is conceptually really bad. Green and purple confetti skirt the line because the effect itself is really small. It trades off its visibility and flashiness by the sheer amount of space it takes up for the player, which is an interesting trade-off, a trade-off I'm personally not a huge fan of. I like having my effects being very visually appealing, but they balance it very well, because if you make like the sprites large or add glows, it's going to be way too distracting, especially for a hat effect. For taunt effects, we're going to get to taunt effects later. They're interesting. So those are C tier. Circling peace sign. Oh, I should have also put this here. All right, searing and vivid plasma. I'm going to put these at C as well. They're nothing special. I don't have any good comments for them, good or bad. They're just effects. They're there. And then Haunted Ghost. Ooh, let me look at Haunted Ghost real quick. I'm going to put Haunted Ghost at B tier just because it's more noticeable and flashier in a good way than these lower effects. If it were made today, it would be pretty poorly rated, but weirdly enough, I kind of like it. I don't know why. Like, I would be excited to have this. It is a little weird to have a Haunted Ghost effect that's not Halloween. It's not from Halloween, it's from Gen 1, which is very strange. Every time I see Haunted Ghost, I think it's from like the 2015 or 2016 Halloween, but it's not. It's from Gen 1, which is very strange to me. Alright, next we are going to do Gen 2. Let me grab that. So first we're going to do Blizzardy Storm. Let's do Blizzardy Storm. It's alright. It's just a white cloud over the player's head. I feel like it could very easily be remade into a better effect. Later down the line, we see blizzard effects made much better than this. This is good for when it was made, like such an early gen effect, but compared to other blizzard effects we have now, it's pretty lackluster. It's inverse Stormy Cloud. I think it's Stormy Cloud, this name, right? I really like this. We don't have a lot of storm cloud effects. The rain, it looks a little strange to me, but that's only because I'm used to working with and making newer effects which handle rain a lot better. But I like this a lot. This is a good effect. It's not A tier because A tier is pretty difficult to get into, but B, it's solid. I like having a storm cloud over your head. Let's do smoking and steaming. I'll put it at B and steaming down in C. Effects like smoking and steaming and stormy storm and blizzardy storm are how you should handle variants. They should basically be new effects ultimately, or if you're going to do a color, like just a color swap, the color swap needs to look and make sense. You shouldn't like recolor like green acid bubbles to be like yellow or purple or something. That doesn't make sense. But to have a blizzard storm be recolored and like changed a bit, be a storm, like a normal storm, that's the peak way to do a variant where there is almost pretty much new effects. That being said, smoking I'm going to put B and steaming at C, because smoking, having your hat be smoking is cool. The smoke is a bit big. I'll give it that. It's a little strange having it that massive of a smoke. Like if it was just a normal like smoke trail, like my absolutely derailed or defrosted effect that I have on the workshop, that's how a smoke should really be done. Having it like actually look like it's fuming instead of just having like giant smoke clouds around your head that's going up. Nuts and bolts. Whew. It suffers the same fate as Mass Flies. It's actually kind of probably worse, I would say. The sprites are a bit bigger, which I do like. It makes up for it, not having a background slightly. But nuts and bolts around your head, how does that make sense? Like, conceptually, that's kind of weird. Flies, I get. Having flies around your head, that makes sense, I guess, conceptually. But having metal bolts around your head, that's very strange. And then there's also Orbiting Planet. It suffers from breaking the rule of no background like these two, but I like the sprites. I like them. They're big. They're a lot more noticeable when I can actually notice when this is in game because they're bigger and more bright. They're not just a black or grayscale texture. These actually have some color, but it suffers from the rule of not having a background. If it had some kind of space background or something, that would look cool. Or the way Bamboo redid it. Bamboo redid a bunch of the old effects very well. I will never stop praising Bamboo as a creator. I love you. You are an amazing creator. He remade a lot of the OG effects. How he handled it, I believe, was he added rotation, like he made them actually rotate and orbit around the player's head with the orbits being lines around the head that you can see, which filled up the space a lot better and made it a lot more uniform, which I recommend looking at Bamboo's workshop page entirely. He makes amazing effects. I think he got his first effect, I think, this last summer, summer 2023, which is insane. I'm surprised he didn't get any before. He just came out of nowhere and started absolutely popping off. Next, orbiting fire. I'll put it at, I don't know. I'm gonna put it at D. I don't like this effect. It's just a small like fire sprite going around their head, which is okay, I guess. But my biggest issue with this is how it just doesn't work most of the time. There's this weird bug with this and that purple orbiting flame effect where most of the time in game it just won't show up straight up. It's just not there, or if it does, this is more of an issue though with most orbiting effects. Circling effects, it will just go way too far out from the player's head. It will orbit where I am. It would be in a different room. That's how far away it works. So this is buggy as hell. Even if it did work, I wouldn't want this on a hat personally. So yeah, and then bubbles. I would put it at C until we got Bamboo's new bubbling effect. A lot of people shit on Bamboo's new bubbling effect that we got in the summer update, but that's how he made it was a much better remake version of this bubbling effect. Instead of just having bubbles go up, his has bubbles like brightly multicolored like soap bubbles going up the player's head and having them pop. And how they popped was that whenever they popped, it would have a spawning explosion pop effect, which technically speaking is really cool. The only reason I think people were shitting on it was because people were nostalgic for the old bubbling effect. But if we didn't have that, Bamboo's would be praised a lot more. I personally love it. All right, so next we are actually not going to do Gen 3 next. Next chronologically is actually Halloween 2011. So I think this is Scream Fortress 3 is what this is. This is when we first started getting unusual effects for the Scream Fortress updates. And mind it being not quite a lot. We only got 4 effects in this update. But that being said, this is when we started seeing the trend of getting unusual effects for every Halloween, except for 2017 for some reason. This is when we started getting Halloween effects, which Halloween has some really cool effects. The trade-off being that they are kind of tacky, having them being Halloween themed. It looks a little bit weird if it's like Christmas time and you have Halloween effects, but this it's an eerie like Halloween fire version of orbiting fire, which conceptually I want in the game so badly. I've seen my first effect that I made for TF2 for the TF2 workshop was a Halloween version of burning flames, which people want to hell, but this was not executed well. It looks like a purple smudge around the player's head. The only reason it's worth a lot is because it's the OG Halloween effect. But no, yeah, I'll put an F because I really don't like it. And then flaming Halloween pumpkin, it goes in the same tier as the orbiting fire. It's a pumpkin on fire, which is okay as an idea, but wasn't very made that well. And then I forgot about this one. This one, Cauldron Bubbles, is basically bubbling with some like weird glows, some like deep green glows at the player's head. I don't like it. It was basically a recolor for the sake of recolor, and the original version wasn't that good to begin with, bubbling. Now, Cloudy Moon. Cloudy Moon's pretty damn good. It's not executed incredibly well compared to modern effects, like what could be made now, but pretty damn good for its time. This started the trend of having sprite moon with clouds in front of it. I like that. I like that trend a lot. We are seeing kind of an oversaturation in the workshop of those because people are catching on that this is a good kind of effect. So next chronologically is Scream Fortress 4, surprisingly. I don't think we get to Gen 3 until after this. I'll have to double check, but next is Scream Fortress 4 from 2012. This, we got 5 effects. Valve saw the success of Cloudy Moon and really hitched onto that idea and made a bunch more. First of all, we're gonna do Harvest Moon. I don't like it. Having a weird deep purple and deep green, especially on red team. Green is very noticeable in TF2. Green stands out quite a bit. At least I'm happy it's not lime, so I'm not gonna put it at D, because lime is really bad as a color. Anything good to say about this personally? What is this? Oh, this is it's a secret to everybody. Oh, okay. I could have sworn it was the Cloudy Moon effect. It's the Daniel and Cooler Daniel is what this is. It's the full moon effect, except it has a skeleton skull instead of the full moon, with these red glowing eyes, which I think is really cool. And the skull itself is weirdly hyper realistic, but I can excuse it because it looks like the moon from Cloudy Moon, and I really like it. Then Valve did another weird recolor. This one is Stormy 13th Hour. It's a weird magenta purple cloud recolor of It's a Secret to Everybody, and I don't like it. It looks so out of place as a color, making weird colors. They were really trying to experiment and figure out what looks good as an effect color for TF2, but these. And then this, what is this? Knife Storm. I have mixed feelings about Knife Storm. When I ask my friends what their favorite effect is, typically people will say like the usual answers of like Nebula, Sunbeams, Burning Flames, but a lot of people really like Knife Storm. I'm gonna put it at B, because the coloring on it is weird, and how the knives interact with your player model is very strange. Having knives like Spy's knives drop down as an effect is sick as hell. That's badass, but I don't like how it looks right now. I'm still gonna put it at B because I would be happy to get this. And then last one is Misty Skull is the lesser brother of the 13th. What is this? The other skull effect we talked about before. I'm gonna put it at B. The skull, having a skull over the player's head is pretty cool, but the clouds are, but the fact that it's the center of attraction, like there's not enough clouds going like in front of it to cover it up. If it had proper white clouds, kind of like maybe like Blizzard Storm, but not quite, having that kind of such like deepness and alpha of it, where it's not as translucent as we have in Misty Skull. I will like if it would look like actual mist that it was weaving in and out of. I would have liked that a lot more, but having the sprite itself be the center of attraction is not the way to go, typically, in my opinion. Alright, now we're going into Gen 3, a series that people love to death. I think it's probably the best generation out of the three. Most of these are amazing. For example, Miami Nights and Disco Beatdown are so good. My first effect that I got, I think, through unboxing was a Miami Nights Noble, like, tower of hats. I forget the name of the cosmetic, but it was a Miami Nights hat. Love that thing to death. That and Disco Beatdown. Disco Beatdown is very similar to Miami Nights, although not as grand, in my opinion. These are both very solid effects. I love them. And Ace is High. Normally, I don't like having a sprite orbiting around the player's head. Normally, as a rule, orbiting effects aren't as good as normal effects. Having a custom sprite trail behind it too is really cool, because normally sprite trails will either be a rope, but in this, I think it's actually an animated sprite that goes behind the player. I would need to look at this again, but it's handled very well. And it's the first team color effect we got in game. This is the first like effect that changes color based on the team you're on. I love team colored effects to death, because having a blue effect on a blue player model or red with red is really nice. Very solid. And then what is this? Dead Presidents. I don't know why it's called Dead Presidents. Why is it? I would love to know. Oh, because there's a dead president on the hill. Great. I answered that question. Dead Presidents is aces high, pretty much with the exactly the same with an animated Bill orbiting around the player's head. I love this effect so much. Terawatt and kilowatt. It's really conceptually it's really cool to have having your hat be sparking and having electricity go on it is really cool, but I don't like the roping on this. I don't like the sprite at all. It's very, I want to say crusty, but I know it isn't. It just feels very strange. I'm gonna put them at C because I have good things to say about it, but also bad things. Bad things being that it looks very awkward in my opinion, and also there's a pretty well-known bug where occasionally the rope, the like one end of the sprite will just attach to a random part of the map for some reason, even if it's like the other side of the map. It will just attach to it for something, and another player will just see like a bright flash of the sprite going across their screen, which is not good. It's a very rare incident, yes, but it does happen. The only reason it's rare is because this effect isn't on a lot of hats compared to the majority of players that play this game. And then Cloud9. Cloud9 is pretty nice. I'm not gonna put it up at A, but it's pretty good. Maybe I'm gonna put these at B. I'm gonna put these down at B, actually. It's the best way to handle orbiting, but it is still just an orbiting effect, which I'm not a fan of. And A should really be more exclusive. Next, we've got Robotic Boogaloo, Time Warp, and what was the other one? What is the other name for it? Time Warp and Green Black Hole look kick-ass as hell. I love these effects so much. The only problem is they're extremely expensive because they are pretty rare to find, and even if you do unbox one, it's gonna be jacked. The price is gonna be jacked as hell because of a certain content creator. So it's almost impossible to find one of these in game or get one yourself. I've tried several times. That the cheapest one on like the crappiest hat is still like 80 keys. Outrageous, I know. I think. Don't quote me on prices. Antifreeze and Roboactive. I'm gonna put them down at C as well, which I hate to do considering how much I was praising this, but C's still alright. I don't know what they were going for. It has like 3 different elements going on with splatters on the head, trails going out to the side and up, and just a lot going on at once. And I don't know why we have 2 separate recolors. We got a lot of recolors in this update. I think pretty much almost every effect in here got a recolor of some sort. But recolor for recolor's sake, not good. As I said, don't recolor effect if you don't have to, or if you want to. Make only like 1 or 2. I've suffered from making way too many color variants for effects before I get called out on it every time. The fact that we got 31 effects this past semester because of recolors. I think we only got 12 unique effects, which is like the standard, but because of recolors, it bumped up to 31. No, that's not good, considering if you see this, we're only getting like 5-6 effects in an update. Next, Electrostatic and Power Surge. Technically speaking, like from a technical aspect, it's really well made. Having this the electricity sprite from, actually I think it's a new electricity sprite going around the player's head is really cool with the sparks. This is very well made, this one. And Power Surge, it's weird having a purple recolor. I don't know what's up with that. Why purple for energy, for electricity? A little strange, but I like it. It's solid. All right, Memory Leaked and Overclocked. These, you shouldn't have sharp edges like that in effect and such uniform squares. Like if you have uniform squares on like a war paint, for example, don't typically. Well, maybe I shouldn't say. I'm not a war paint expert, but you shouldn't have like perfect squares in an effect. That being said, it's not bad. It's pretty visually appealing. They get away with it fairly. Yeah. And then Phosphorus and Sulfurous also do the square thing, but they do it better because it looks a lot nicer. Because it's not just a square that's the attraction. There's also this cool custom bright glow, like a new glow, like a custom sprite glow with like lines across it. I used it for, I think, my frostbite effect. Yeah, frostbite. So I'm going to take a break for now. I have been talking for a straight hour now. My voice hurts a lot from this. So I'm gonna take a break. Maybe do this tomorrow. I have some friends coming over in an hour, so I actually probably need a plan for that. I'll probably do this tonight, maybe.
Sometimes it's hard to resist the urge to drive right off a f***ing bridge. Oh, look, there's one.
Right. Time for day 2. Still wearing the same hoodie, I just now realized. Okay, where did we leave off? I think we're about to do Green Fortress 5. Which year was that? 2013? Yeah, 2013. All right. This was a really good year for unusual effects. Some I'm pretty sure all of these are worth an insane amount of money for various reasons. Biggest one being that I'm pretty sure they took this out of circulation really early, like Dark Blaze, Demon Flame, and Hellfire. These 3 right here are extremely expensive. 1, because they look really good. They look amazing. And 2, you genuinely just can't unbox this anymore, even from the case that you're supposed to be able to unbox it. They took this out of circulation like they did with Energy Orb later down the line. Straight up just can't unbox it. I don't know about the other ones. I don't know if they took those out of circulation. That's just what I know about those 3. And these 3, I'm gonna put these 2 down here and Hellfire above, because Hellfire actually makes more sense conceptually. Having red fire makes a lot more sense, even though it's a little weird on blue team, but it's orange, so it's fine. They're so good. I dream of getting a Hellfire unusual eventually, but I don't even know how much like the cheapest one is. Getting a Misc with that? Ooh, god, an antlers with this is insanely expensive. Well, pretty sure like one of the most expensive ones. I know that like antlers with these bats is insane. These are so heavily inflated in price. I don't know why. These aren't that good. They're just bats with some fire behind it, which isn't bad to say. It's done a lot. It's done better than these other orbiting effects, because there's some like random movement going on as if they're floating around. The fire trail is pretty good, but like, it didn't be worth thousands of dollars to buy one. God, they're not that good. I'm gonna put them at C because like they're all right. And then Arcana and Spellbound would really want to get one of these, but technically speaking, it's not really all that good. It's a bunch of sparkles that are kind of haphazardly made and not very structured very well. Feels incomplete almost. I'm gonna put them down here at B, which hurts me. Really does hurt me, but I don't think it should go up to A just because of how godly it's made. It's massive. It's huge. Like one of the biggest effects we have in game. Well, we have bigger, but like it's one of the widest effects we have in game, I'm pretty sure. Like if you see this in game, if you ever see this in game, considering how rare it is, it's massive. Probably plays into why it's really expensive, but that's besides the point. So there's that. Next we've got, ooh, this is a controversial one. Go grab this. Love and War. This is when they add unusual effects for taunts for the first time, which is pretty controversial. Every time I hear like someone like Zesty or like other creators mention taunt unusuals, it's usually not in a good light, because taunt unusuals, their gimmick is that they're unusuals that play, well, when you play taunts, but they're usually like full body, much bigger effects than just hats. Like you'll see like entire glows on the person, tornado wrapping around you, swirls. It's a lot messier and chaotic because of that. These here are more mundane compared to the ones that we see much later. Like that new Pyroland one we got in the summer is it's very bright, and full body is just very distracting in TF2. Here, like I hear Zesty throwing around taunt unusuals were a mistake. Kind of. They're a mistake in the sense that more often than not, it's not made well. It's very hard to make a good taunt effect that isn't overly flashy. That being said, let's start. First of all, 72. This is a pretty solid effect. It makes sense. It's a disco ball with lights shining down it. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's pretty good. It's pretty simple enough for a taunt effect. I've seen people try remaking it a lot, especially with like trying to do a Dance Dance Revolution style with the disco ball up top and then having a dance floor at the bottom with like arrows coming up. I forget who made that one, but like it doesn't really work as well for taunts that aren't dancing. Like you're doing a transversal taunt or something, it's very weird. Maybe I should go. Nah, I'll keep it at B because it's pretty simple. I don't have any complaints about it at all. I kind of like it. I wouldn't be too thrilled about unboxing it, but it's all right. Holy Grail. It's sunbeams basically, so it's still okay, but it's pretty poorly made. It's very, very small for unusual because a lot of taunts will have you move a little bit, like the demo man's like drunk taunt will have him step forward a couple steps, which means he's entirely outside of the taunt radius, the unusual radius. It looks very strange, and the glow itself clips weirdly into the ground it's on. Just doesn't look that good. It could have been made better. I'm gonna put C. Yeah, and the same goes for Fountain of Delight. I want to like Fountain of Delight so much because I love heart effects in general. Like Cloud9, where did I put Cloud9? I could put Cloud9 B. I like heart effects a lot. But Summer's from the same fate as Holy Grail, where it doesn't look that good. It's too small. Okay, Silver, Cyclone, and Midnight Wind. They're both just average. They're okay. How the tornado is made from a particle engine standpoint is cool because I'm pretty sure it's like an animated sprite that goes around the player, which is really interesting. I need to look at that actually because that's very interesting how it's made. But it's all right. Like technically speaking, it's very well made, but they're average, nothing to note. Screaming Tiger, the concept of it is really cool. Screaming Tiger basically being a play on Soldier with rockets going around you, like not really fireworks, but like flaming rockets going around you. That's cool. It's fucking badass. So I'm gonna bump it up to B for that, but it's not anything special. Ill-gotten gains. Once again, I love money effects so much. Money, like the Dead Presidents is really good. This is also really good, but I'm tempted to put it down to C because of how, once again, how small it is. It's centralized at the center of the player, which made sense for taunts back then, but taunts nowadays, where you move around a lot, you're gonna be outside of the radius. But the money moves around enough and spreads out, so that's not too big of an issue, not like Holy Grail, so it's acceptable. Showstopper is a classic effect. I'll bump it down to B. B is still good, mind you. B is still a good effect. It's better than the average effect. You know how much I love Team Colored, so I'm gonna put it B. And finally, Mega Strike. I love Mega Strike so much. It's pretty simple, where it's just lightning striking down, but how it's made where it strikes down and leaves a mark behind. God, I love that so much. Like how the lightning is made too is very cool. It's just, oh, so good. Now that we've got taunts out of the way, we shall do, once again, back to Scream Fortress. This is Scream Fortress 2014, also known as Scream Fortress 6. Pretty sure these ones were also pretty expensive, but God, I don't even remember the names of most of these. We got 2 taunt effects, strangely enough. I didn't even realize that from this one, but on to the All-Knowing. We know, everyone knows how damn expensive this effect is. It is one of the most expensive effects in the game, but I'm not gonna put it C. I'll put it at B for now. It's good. It's a good Halloween effect because it plays onto one of the themes of TF2, with a Halloween monster being Gonzo the All-Knowing, which is in the map of like what, Carnival of Carnage or something. He's present multiple times. I'm pretty sure he's like an unknown eldritch horror. So it's making a reference to that, which is cool. I like that, but it's not worth the money that you had to pay for. Like getting this like a Gonzo the All-Knowing on a Gonzo the All-Knowing like beanie. Whew. Alright. Next, Amaranth, the Ooze, and Stare from Beyond. I'm literally having to look up the names of these. These 3, I know they're also worth a lot. They're probably one of the better, like, sprite, like, spirit effects that we have, but essentially just a colored smudge over your head. Not a fan. Alright. We have Haunted Phantasm Jr. and Ghastly Ghouls, Ghastly Gas, Ghostly Gas, something like that. Those 2. They're also... I don't even want to put them at... Alright, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna put them at D, actually. I'm sorry. It's very, very poorly made. A low frame rate, low render sprite of a ghost with a very, very poorly made trail behind it of glow, but it glows like intermittently. It's not good. I don't like it. People will hate me on that, but it's not good. And the taunt versions of them are also not good. It's the same deal with, and actually worse because some of the sprites on the taunts are massive. I think sometimes they can go as big as the player itself. No, not F. F is very special. Very special place. I'm surprised we already have 3, honestly. Wow, we went through that update pretty quickly. Thank God, considering how many effects we got. Next, we've got End of the Line. End of the Line, we only got 4 effects, but we did get one of the best effects in the game from this update, which I don't think anyone can agree with me. Frostbite is by far one of the best effects we've gotten ever. Whenever someone tries to make an effect that even remotely looks like it, with like clouds falling down or having like an icy or snowy effect, people will always say say, oh, this is a Frostbite clone. Like, every time. I don't know what kind of voice this is. Alright. Anyways, people love this effect, and for good reason. Even I love this effect. I hate going with the crowd, but I can't not put this as S. And then Morning Glory and the Dusk effect are also really good effects. They basically are like the previous cloud effects, just done right, because it's sunset and sunrise as a cloud, and it's the colors on it are very good. This is pretty much the best way they could handle a cloud effect. That is very good. And then Bolted Mallard is also really solid as an orbiting effect. It's hard to make a good orbiting effect, but this one does it pretty well. Oh, I forgot. The only issue with it is that it does suffer from, if you move really at all, the orbit will go very wild because it tries to follow you around, but also the trail doesn't. It gets very jumbled around. We'll see this with a lot of future orbiting effects too. I don't know why it does this, but I'm still gonna put it B. It's solid for an orbiting effect. That's still an orbiting effect. And now we've got, ooh, this is an interesting update. Gunmetal. Gunmetal introduced, I believe, contracts, skins, and weapon unusuals. So if you got unboxed a skin or decorated weapon, I'm pretty sure you had a chance of getting it in the unusual version, which is insane, having like a particle effect on your gun. So good. And these are the only 4 weapon unusuals that we are going to see ever. Well, technically. And I doubt we're going to get any more. There were only a few on the workshop right now that are actually decent quality. Making a good weapon unusual is really hard because you have to customize the unusual for every single weapon it can go on. It's hell. I made one and it took me a solid couple months. It's not worth the effort. It's a lot of work, and Valve has the opportunity to really ruin it if they choose a bad one, which there are quite a few. But that being said, all of these are pretty solid. I'm going to, let's see. The fire effect is just solid. It's your weapon on fire, which is really cool. Love it. It looks good on most weapons. I don't think there's really any weapons that it looks bad on. Like having this on like a sniper rifle. Ooh. A hot sniper rifle looks sick as fuck. God. Cool is also okay. Out of the weapon unusuals though that we have, I'm gonna say this is most lackluster. I know some people will really like it, but I don't like having the ice cubes and snowflakes come out. It's kind of jarring. I'm not a fan of it personally. It's still okay, but compared to the other weapon unusuals that we have, it's not that good. Because then we also have Isotope. Isotope is really sick. It's very strange to have a neon green effect like this. Like, you typically don't want a bright neon green, especially in TF2, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that really, but I'm probably being a big hypocrite. I really like it. And then Energy Orb. Yeah, Energy Orb is an interesting case study because it's an effect that when released was extremely buggy, where it will fill up your screen most of the time, which technically all the weapon unusuals do that, but Energy Orb has it happen a lot more consistently, which is not good because it's also a lot brighter, so it really distracts you during gameplay. So because of that, and also the reason being that Valve didn't want to figure out how to add Energy Orb to make it look good on melee weapons, because making unusual effects look good on melee weapons is really hard, especially with this effect. Because of that, and the previous reason, Valve straight up just removed this from being unboxed ever again. If you want to get one of these, the cheapest one is like a couple hundred keys for like an SMG. I know like Big Joey has one. I have a couple of friends who own one. They are expensive as hell. I would like to see this reintroduced potentially. It's a shame. I'm probably not ever gonna own one, even though it being really good. And while we're on the topic of weird unusuals that aren't hats and taunts, let's talk about Community Sparkle. Community Sparkle kind of sucks. Not good. The only reason it's popular in the sense that like everyone notices it in game whenever they see it is because it's so hard to get. You can only get Community Sparkle if you have like a self-made or community item, which is extremely hard. That's where the novelty of this effect comes from. But if you just look at this from an effect side of things, it's really, really bad. Like, for example, the hat version has the sparkles, but like coming out occasionally in random positions, but sometimes the sparkles will go really far off away from you, like really far, farther than it should. It's not good. I don't like it. The taunt is arguably even worse. I really don't like it. They're not noticeable enough, and they're really janky, and like the sprites themselves, the sparkle are too big. If you decrease the size of the sparkles and then increase the count, like by half and then double, like consecutively, it would probably look better. For now, though, these are F. I hate the. Well, maybe I should bump it up because they are novel, but I think I'm gonna put it down here because I don't like them. I really don't like Community Sparkle. Like, I am extremely happy to have a Community Sparkle. Anyone would be, but that's because of how hard it is to get one. I have one in my inventory, but that's the only reason why they're so highly praised. Unusual Weapon, though, on the other hand, are really cool, I guess. Having your weapon glisten, almost. I'll put up at C, and it doesn't suffer from the fate of it going wildly as much. That I'm okay with. I'm gonna pump it down to D because you can't, most of the time, because of where it spawns, you can't even tell if it's the weapon. That's actually unusual, especially since you're not gonna be looking at the weapon specifically for an unusual. Like, Isotope and Energy Orb do a good job with being flashy enough to be seen in combat. This, no. Should I do unused effects now? Let's do that. This is gonna be weird, but I did say I was gonna rank every unusual effect, so here are used unusual effects that we have that aren't in the game. Yeah, I know you weren't expecting that, huh? Most of these are gonna be pretty trash, but I felt like I needed to include them anyways and talk about them. This one is called like achievement or something. Oh, I have it. I have the names right here. So this one was called AAA. It's basically the achievement icon being at orbiting around, which I don't like. It's pretty trash. So, well, okay. So the unused effects I'm going to rank based on their potential or how good they could have been. But this F, I like the concept of, well, I'll put it D because the concept of an achievement effect is pretty cool, I would say. Like, having that going around with some kind of like celebration victory, like trail behind it could be really cool. I could see that working. This is literally just Sunbeams but worse. That's what this is. I'm pretty sure this is, what is this called? Beams new style. It's pretty much just Beams but thinner. D. Well, because of the potential of it, I'll put them up at D. Why not? If you got this, it would be okay. These two would be, well, I don't know how I should rank these, really. Let's just say if you unbox these. These are trash. This is Beanie. Oh, we got, this is interesting. So these are effects that are basically like cosmetics on your cosmetic, which conceptually, from a theory aspect, is not good. You shouldn't have effects that basically just elongate or add new aspects to your hat, which is not good, like antennas, horns. Basically just a new cosmetic is not what you want. I'll put them at D just because of their creativity. It's pretty creative, but it shouldn't be in the game, really. Like, even if these were remade, they shouldn't be in the game, but I'll put them at D for their creativity. This is, so we have circling glow and circling skull. These are just more orbiting effects that don't look good. Because of these are here, I'll put them down here. Just because they're pretty bad. This crisp spotlights. It's basically an unused spotlight for Miami Nights. I'm pretty sure that it's just more monochrome, like whitish. Looks pretty sick for unused effect. I'm gonna put it up at C. It's alright. This Halo. Halos, but all of my close friends and anyone who has seen my work knows I really want a Halo in TF2 really badly. I've made so many Halos for TF2 and I'm still pushing out more and plan to, that I really wanted the game so badly. And I know Valve won't make one themselves, so I try to. And I think I kind of did start the trend of more Halos, because since I posted Arcane Halo, I saw so many other Halos this past semester being submitted. I'm glad. I appreciate the work that's been put into all of them, and most of them are fucking sick as hell, but I was the first. If Valve adds a Halo, better be mine. You hear me? Yeah. That being said, teacher, because this is basically the glow that's used in the Peter's Love Men. Conceptually, it could be really cool. I'm not gonna probably put any of these unused ones above a C. That would be weird. Sparklers. It's basically the sparks that you see from like Power Surge and stuff coming out of the head. I don't like it. The sparkler effect that we see on the workshop right now. I think it was like a New Year's effect. It's pretty good, but it suffers from the fact that it's a high velocity effect that's very distracting. You shouldn't typically have effects that are really fast. I personally prefer slower, more calming effects. So having really fast sparkles is not good conceptually, so I'm gonna put that, and its color variant there. What's this called? Can I see? No, I probably could, but I have no idea. Whatever, we'll figure that out. This is an unused scorching effect called Test. It's literally just a test version of just scorching flames. That's literally what that is. I don't know what to tell you. Orbit. This is I'm pretty sure also a test version of Nuts and Bolts, which you know my feelings about Nuts and Bolts, so it's going down there. This Ring of Ice, I'm pretty sure this is one of the new unused effects. Well, new compared to the others. The other unused effects generally are really old, like from like 2013 prior, or like let's say 2015. This is one of the newest unused effects that we've seen that are in the game, because normally if it's not used, it's not even gonna be in the files. That being said, I'm happy they didn't add this, because this is basically an ice version reskin of a Ring of Fire effect that we got, which they could have kept the. I understand why they didn't, because this is blue, which doesn't look good on red team, but they could have had this be team colored, like force a team color where this would be blue teams and the Ring of Fire be red. That would have been cool, but they didn't. I like the concept a lot, but here at C as well, because I'm probably gonna put the Ring of Fire up in C as well. I think we'll see. Depending on where Ring of Fire goes, I'm gonna bring this up with it. This is the same thing as a little bit better because it's a party style, so it has like some confetti coming out. I'm doing a remake of it. And then these three are some more sparklers that don't look good. I can barely even see them on here. Like, I can't even tell what they look like without probably booting up to 2. I've seen it before, but like in thit's images, you generally can't. So these are all going in. Sorry, someone was messaging me. This is weird. It's an orbiting full moon effect, so it's the cloudy moon orbiting, which is pretty badass. Like, having a moon orbit around you is pretty cool. I understand why they didn't add it, because that's kind of outside of the norm, but you know how much I love cloudy moon, so I'm gonna put this up in B. Actually, this will be the only unused B tier. Actually, no, I'm gonna also put this in tier, because potentially Blood Moon could be really cool to have in game. I made a Blood Moon remake for Halloween of this year, and I really like it. I understand why Valve doesn't add it, because it's a giant red blob, but still, I love the concept of it like raining down lead. Orbiting Shells has an interesting story behind it, where it's straight up not in the game files anywhere. Valve purged this from their files completely, which is very strange. They don't usually do that. There aren't any other unusual effects that are like that. I am very lucky to have gotten my hands on this, because previously the files for this effect were hidden in a Google Drive by the wiki page editor for the unusual effect page. He was the only one that had it, but then someone who runs like a TF2 cut content channel managed to get it, and I managed to get it from him. So now I own it, and I think I put it somewhere in the Particle Mayhem Discord, which Particle Mayhem is a group of unusual effect creators. If you want to get into getting unusual effects, join that Discord. Just look it up, you'll find it. I shared it there, so now it can be more public, so other people can see it. It's not for really any good use. It's just content that I want to preserve. All right, I made a lot of progress. I think I'm gonna take a break again. My voice is hurting. I want to go relax, hang out with a couple friends. Who knows? This now, I'm pretty sure day 3 of trying to get this video done, and that doesn't even include editing it. Oh, this is such a pain of a video, but I really wanted to make it for the longest time, so I'm gonna have to. I really want to. Hopefully it does well. Even if it doesn't, oh well. Hopefully it will be useful for future creators to look back and see what advice I give, if it's even good advice. I've only been making unusual effects for like, what, 2 years now, which is a pretty long time, I would say, but I don't know. No, only 1 year, actually. Damn, I got an effect within 1 year? Damn, I'm good at this. All right, that being said, I will take a break. I'll be back.